Today I'm going to talk about how I got scammed buying and selling Pokemon cards, as well as some ways that you can prevent yourself from getting scammed. So the first way that I got scammed was it actually got brought up recently by a lot of Pokemon YouTubers. Really started from PokeVault, and he basically got scammed by somebody named Cody. And how that worked was Cody ended up doing a chargeback scam. Unfortunately for PokeVault, I think he lost around $7,000. For me, it was close to 400 or so, which still sucks. But the reason why I didn't make a video about it is I just kind of wanted to forget about it. It happened back in March, and the chargeback was in April. So I did end up losing 2 out of the 3. But I'll talk more about that in just a minute. So I did get scammed as a chargeback. Basically, the way this works is that the buyer will wait till the item gets sent to them, wait till it delivers, and then they will report it as item not received or item not as described. Now, item not received is a little easier to win, in my opinion, because you can prove that it was delivered. Typically, if it's a higher dollar transaction, definitely put a signature required, but we'll go more into details. So this is the most common if you own a website, which I no longer sell on my website anymore, partially because of chargeback risks, but it was mostly other reasons that I went into in my last video. If you haven't checked it out, it'll be up in the top right. But if you own a website, you definitely have to watch out for chargebacks because they do happen. Basically, the banks will almost always take the buyer's side, and there are going to be people out there taking advantage of the system and the banks, because the banks, they don't care. Most of the time, they just will take the buyer side. And as you can see on the screen here, this was a chargeback case from one of 3 that I got from Cody. And this one was $266.68, and it was 17 Silver Tempest packs and 15 151 packs. So these items are probably valued more than what I sold them for back then. And basically, he waited till I sent it out. He got them, and then basically a month later is whenever he did the chargeback. And unfortunately, he did end up winning these. So how to win a chargeback if you are a seller. Like I said, if you own a website, you probably will end up getting a chargeback eventually. It will be fraudulent most of the time. And the way that you can really kind of avoid losing chargebacks is to try to record yourself packing your items. Show proof of delivery. Obviously, highly recommend using a signature. That is going to cost extra, but it will help you. Make sure to provide screenshots of the order and the matching details. If you emailed the customer at all, make sure to include that in the chargeback. And number one thing that has helped me is do not ship to freight forwarders. And basically what that is it's people outside of the U.S. that is placing the order, and they are getting it shipped to a freight forwarder, which will forward the items to them in the other country. And then once it is on the boat heading their way, they'll charge back. And thankfully, I caught a couple of those. And then I realized PayPal does have an option to turn off non-US buyers. So I highly recommend doing that unless you are like selling to non-US people regularly. But my business policy was I do not do business outside of the US, just to avoid that, really. And this is the exact dispute that I won. This is exactly what I said to PayPal to win it. I said the customer placed this order and 2 additional purchases from our store after the transaction in the days after. This indicates that they were satisfied with their experience, had no issues with the previous orders. If there had been a genuine problem, it's unlikely that they would have returned to make additional purchases, which is obviously true. And then we also never heard from this customer via email, which is also true. Cody never emailed me once, and I never had any contact with him. So the screenshots I showed was basically the order as well as the label. And I obviously provided tracking as evidence and showed that it was delivered. And they did take my side on this one. But for whatever reason, I basically sent very similar responses for the other 2. They did not take my side on those 2 for whatever reason. So make it make sense. I don't know. Anytime you're disputing a chargeback, there's just a 50-50 chance, no matter how much evidence that you provide, you're going to lose. And especially if the reason that they did the chargeback was items not as described. That's why I think potentially if you record yourself packing the order, that might help, but I'm not 100% sure. If anyone has experience, leave it in the comments below. So I did end up winning one of those 3 chargebacks, but I am out of like $400 or so, which sucks. But moving on to the next topic as a seller is eBay scams. And this is actually, I think it happens way less often than people think. If you sell a lot on eBay, then you know, like, this does not happen very often, at least in my experience. So there's 2 different things that people will try to return an item for, and it'll be doesn't work or defective, or they'll just say that they did not receive the item. If they say they do not receive the item and you provide tracking that it was delivered, then eBay will automatically close the case, which is fantastic. And then if they say it does not work or defective, then they will be able to return the item. And I have free returns on my eBay. So this person, they put doesn't work or defective on a Stellar Miracle booster box, which is interesting. And then they also wrote in the description that the packs were resealed and stapled together, which obviously wasn't true. But number one thing, don't overreact, and just remember you have seller protection. So in this example of this person returning the Stellar Miracle box, they actually returned this tape measure. If I can find the footage, I'll show it right now. But instead of getting my Stellar Miracle box back, they sent a poly bag with a little tape measure. I don't even know why they sent that, but they did. And I recorded myself opening it, as well as took several pictures. Obviously, the packaging did not match. There's no way you can fit a Stellar Miracle box inside of a poly bag, at least as far as I know. When I first got it, I thought maybe they put the packs in there or something. I don't know. But yeah, I opened it outside, and it was the tape measure. So instead of freaking out thinking that I lost the money, I ended up explaining the situation to eBay. I included all the pictures that I could, and they did end up taking my side. I basically said the buyer returned a tape measure instead of the Pokemon booster box. I can also include a video of me opening it as well if needed, and then I also included the photos. And as you can see below, they said resale of junk cards. Everything good was taken before I could open it. Packs were stapled together, which was obviously BS. But thankfully, they took my side, and if they didn't, I would have called them, because this is just, pure fraud right here. And funny enough, the buyer did end up opening a second case with their bank to try to dispute it, but eBay covered me there. So part of the nice thing about selling on eBay, and part of the fees that you're paying, is that seller protection that PayPal doesn't fully cover, and any payment processing company almost always takes the buyer's side. So then that's the nice thing about selling on eBay, is that you do have much better seller protection. So that is basically it for the 2 selling scams that happened to me. I did lose out on money on the chargebacks, but I did end up winning the eBay one. So getting into buyer scams, because I have been buying a lot recently off of Discord, as well as a couple other places. But we're going to start here with Discord seller scam. So I talked about this a little bit in my last video, but going more into detail, this is basically, in my opinion, these are volume scammers targeting bulk buyers. And basically what I think they're doing is that they're scamming as many people as they can on the Discord. And the way they do that is they ask for PayPal goods and services to make you feel comfortable. They even provide a valid timestamp. So as you can see in the picture, it says Bruno for Dracioid, which is me on Discord, and the date. And then you end up paying them. And if you go further into it, you'll see that it is actually a non-US PayPal account. And they may get you to try to purchase more. So like there was one seller that I bought like 5 boxes from, and then they're like, actually, I want to sell these 2. And then I paid them for that. And then they were like, actually, I have another thing I want to sell. And then I paid them for that. So I ended up having 3 transactions with them. But that is something that they try to do, because the more transactions that you make, the more likely you're going to forget about them, especially if you're doing a lot of transactions. But I'm going to show the chat for this one. So you can see they said, hey, I like your payout prices for sealed. Do you still need some? I have a little bit left. I have tons of slabs and raw cards too if you're into them. Any of that, just let me know. And then they sent like a bunch of pictures of all their stuff. I just basically told them I just want the sealed using the buy list that I have. And before I even paid them, I said, before I send, do you mind sending an updated timestamp? Just want to make sure, because like you said, someone wasted my time before. And that was basically them saying that they wanted to do PayPal goods and services. I didn't share the full conversation, but that's basically what they had said beforehand. And then they said, I'm in bed with my fiance right now. It is a little late. It is late here. I will send you in the morning and we can seal the deal then. And I said, sounds good to me. And then they said, all right, I'll message you when I get the photo. Have a wonderful night. So, they're acting very nice, and they act like, they're actually going to send it. And then they did end up following up the next day with the screenshot that you saw in the previous slide. And I sent them the money, and then they said, thank you. I'll get this out tomorrow, send you tracking right after work. And I said, let me know when you get anything else, because I am always looking for people to sell me stuff consistently, which I have now, thankfully. They said, I have a big bag of stuff to go through, blah, blah, blah. So days go by. I honestly forgot about this transaction because I had done like 15 to 20 other ones with different people. And I actually had created a spreadsheet with all of the purchases that I had made so that I could keep track of them. Because if you're doing a lot, it's easy to lose track of certain ones. And I ended up doing like a little audit of all my purchases, and I found this one, and I saw that they had never sent it. And then I said, hey, just following up, do you have a tracking number? And I gave them 2 more days, which was probably more than enough. I probably shouldn't have even given them that, but they didn't respond, obviously. And that's when I opened the PayPal dispute. And thankfully, I did end up winning every single dispute that I created, because I had to make like 6 of them, which was a pain. But the way that I won the PayPal buyer dispute was I provided all evidence and screenshots of all the chats that we did in Discord. I explained the whole situation, and basically said, in this one, I said the seller never shipped the item and has not provided any tracking. They also stopped responding, and their account shows a non-U.S. origin, which raises an additional concern. I would like a refund as I did not receive anything. And this particular seller actually did try to dispute what I had said. I don't know what they told PayPal. All the other ones just never responded, and the case closed in my favor automatically. But that one actually tried to dispute it for whatever reason. But PayPal did take my side. And I was told by others that if you lose, you can file an appeal or you can call PayPal. So is PayPal goods and services actually 100% safe? We'll look into that in just a minute. But make sure you always pay with PayPal goods and services unless you are receiving the items first, or if you know the person, they have a big online presence, etc. Obviously, Galaxy Card Shop, we have hundreds and hundreds of vouchers. So just an example of someone that you don't have to use PayPal goods and services. But always use it if it's a first transaction with somebody. And use a credit card for the extra layer of protection, because if you do lose your PayPal goods and services dispute, you can dispute with your credit card. Like I talked about at the beginning of this video, credit card companies almost always take the buyer side, but do not use it for fraud, because it is illegal and you can get reported and you can get in a lot of trouble if you try to do fraud. We'll give Cody as an example if you haven't seen all the videos posted about him. So there is something big that I learned about the PayPal Purchase Protection Program, and I'm going to show that next. So there is actually ineligible items and transactions for the PayPal Purchase Protection Program if you use PayPal goods and services. And as you can see at the very bottom here, items intended for resale, including single item transactions or transactions that include multiple items. So anything that is intended for resale is not covered by PayPal goods and services. And this is something that I learned from a couple people who told me about it when I was asking them about the disputes that I had to do. And this is something that they raised to me, and I had no idea about it. And it definitely concerned me, because all it takes is for resale to be mentioned in a dispute. I think PayPal will not take your side. At least that's what I've heard. So, all of my purchases were for a collection, and I did not mention anything about resale. And the final scam that happened to me, so I did win pretty much all of them except this one and the Cody one. And this one was the buyee scam. And this is actually, I'll show the video on the screen, but basically the fake Umbreon that I got, and it's gone really viral everywhere. But I'm going to talk a little more about it in this video. And I saved it for the end because I didn't want the whole video to be about it. So if you're not educated on what Buy-E is, basically it's kind of a third-party service that you can use to purchase items from Mercari Japan. And most people in the Pokemon community use it to buy cards, because if you try to buy one card from Japan, you're still going to be paying a lot in shipping. But with using Buy-E, you can buy multiple cards, and then they consolidate them and ship them to you in one package, which saves you a lot of money. So what happened here is that the listing, which I'll show here in a minute, and the pictures looked 100% legit. The card looked like it was, the correct Umbreon. However, whenever you make a purchase on Buy-E, it buys it from Mercari Japan, and the seller that is selling on Mercari can see that Buy-E is the purchaser, at least from what I understand. And so they know that is a more than likely a foreign buyer that is buying the card. And basically there is almost no repercussions if they send a fake card, as far as I know. And it is fraud, obviously, but there's just nothing that is going to happen to them, most likely. I've never heard of it anyways. So they are sending the fake card, and Buy-E gives them a 5-star review anyways, despite it being a scam. So this is what the listing looked like, and the card here is 100% legit, and they had pictures of the back and everything. And they had 263 5-star reviews. It shows 3 sad faces on there, but I actually went to their profile on Mercari. If you see that view on Mercari button, that lets you look at their profile on Mercari, and you can look at the reviews on there, and they had no bad reviews. And so I paid the $333 to get the Umbreon, and that is what I got, was that fake sticker. I did end up losing that PayPal case that I opened, and the reason was that I did not pay the 500 yen for the insurance on Buy-E. They basically told me that because I did not pay for that it wasn't covered. And I might have been able to pursue it further with PayPal, and I might have been able to pursue it further with my credit card. But I just ended up taking the L because I want to keep using Buy-E, and I just don't want my PayPal account to get messed up from something like this. So unfortunately, I was out $300 and something, unfortunately. But in order to prevent yourself getting scammed on Buy-E, here's a couple tips that I've learned. Do not buy the card if there's no picture of the back of the card. And I learned this from someone else, probably Java Akuma. Make sure to check out his channel. He had a good video about Buy-E and some tips, but if there's no back of the card, it's almost always going to be in bad condition. Make sure to read the description of the listing, because some listings will say that it actually comes with a pack instead of a card. Just make sure to read it. Check the seller profile, as I said earlier. Check the seller's profile on Mercari. Click the view on Mercari button and look at the reviews. Make sure there is no "I was sorry" reviews, and only good reviews. And also make sure the reviews are from purchasers and not sellers. Use PayPal and your credit card for double layers of protection. If you ended up getting scammed of thousands of dollars, then you can, obviously dispute it on your PayPal. You will get banned on Buy-E. And if PayPal takes Buy-E's side, you can dispute it on your credit card, and you might get banned from PayPal and Buy-E in that case. I'm not sure. Someone can let me know in the comments. But yeah, just use both for double layers. Record yourself opening packages. That's always a good idea. And as I said earlier, you could pay the extra 500 yen for the insurance to avoid problems with Buy-E. I haven't had any problems other than that, but I wish I would have just paid the 500 yen, because they probably would have just refunded me and I would have went on my merry way. But they also could have not refunded me, because I've heard stories of people saying that Buy-E basically told them to kick rocks even though they paid the 500 yen. But that is basically it for this video. A little bit of a long one, but hopefully you learned something. As always, join our Discord, link in the description below. Follow on Instagram, and you can email me anytime, admin@galaxycardshop.com. We are doing consignments. We are doing Japanese wholesale, and we are buying English sealed. So check it all out in the Discord. If you learned anything, let me know in the comments, and make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.